Do you ever feel like you give everything in relationships and still end up feeling unseen? Do you wake up already anxious, scanning the day for who needs you? Do you say yes when every part of you longs and wants to say no? Do you keep the peace even when it costs you your own? Do you hold everything together while quietly falling apart inside? If you've answered yes to these questions, you're stuck in the codependent stage of development. Not broken, just delayed. And that's not weakness, that's wiring. Today we're going to talk about how to rewire it so your authentic self, not your codependent persona, is in charge. For decades, I thought something was wrong with me too. I was successful, educated, helping others, yet I still overfunctioned, said yes despite having no time, and couldn't stop taking responsibility for everyone else's emotions. I lived in fear of not being enough. Ultimately, why I wrote Not Broken, Just Delayed was because I discovered this. We were never broken. Our development was simply interrupted. This isn't about what's wrong with you. It's about what never had the chance to fully form, your authentic self. You've probably done the work. I know I did. Therapy, books, podcasts. You understand where your patterns come from. Yet when someone frowns or disapproves or pulls away, your chest tightens. You go right back to managing, pleasing, and rescuing. It's not that you're not trying hard enough. It's that you've been trying the wrong way, because codependency isn't something to heal. It is something to finish. The medical model told us codependency was a problem to fix. It labeled us as broken or addicted to people. But that approach keeps you stuck in recovery, always focused on what's wrong. The truth is, codependency isn't a disorder, it's a developmental delay. Your brain adapted for survival, not self-expression. You don't need more healing. You actually need to complete your development. When you stay stuck, you live in survival mode. You overfunction in relationships and underfunction in your life. You try to earn love by being useful, staying quiet, keeping everyone else happy. And underneath, you feel anxious, resentful, and unseen. That constant self-betrayal takes a toll, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It's not sustainable, and it's not who you are meant to be. The shift from codependent to authentic begins when you stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What's unfinished in me?" You stop trying to fix the past and start developing what never had a chance to grow: self-trust, boundaries, emotional independence. This is where your development begins, not in recovery, but in growth. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside your brain. When you act from your self-protective persona or your codependent persona, your brain's running on old programming, code written in childhood that says approval means safety, rejection means danger, love means self-sacrifice. So every time you try to speak your truth or set a boundary, your nervous system panics. It floods you with anxiety, whispering, "Don't upset them, stay safe, stay small." That's why you just can't think your way out of people pleasing. It's wired into your biology. But here's the breakthrough. The same brain that learned fear can learn authenticity. Through new behaviors, repetition, and emotional safety, your brain can rewire itself to make truth, not fear, your default setting. This is where transformation truly begins. Inside of our brains, we have two systems that operate: the self-protective system and the self-actualizing system. The self-protective system houses our codependent persona, and it's fear-based, approval-seeking, seeking to be secure. And the self-actualizing system, it houses your authentic self, which seeks to lead you down the path to become who you are meant to be. But you can't act from both at once. Our goal isn't to destroy the persona, because after all, it's there to keep us safe. But it's to develop the authentic self so fully that the persona only comes out when we actually need to be protected. Here's the good news. The same brain that got wired to adapt instinctually for your own protection can retrain and repattern itself. So every time you act from your authentic self, say no, tell the truth, allow disapproval, your brain builds a new neural pathway. Do that consistently, and truth becomes easier than fear. This is the process of rewiring, and it's how real transformation happens. Just to recap, codependency isn't a character flaw or a disease that we have to recover from. It's a psychological developmental delay. When you were growing up, your brain didn't get to complete the emotional tasks of becoming an independent, confident, self-validating person. You learned to keep others happy so that you would feel safe in your relationships instead of learning to know yourself, instead of developing your authentic self. And that's not your fault. It was adaptive. You did what you had to do to stay safe. But this is your moment to finish what never got to begin, to activate the parts of your brain responsible for your psychological and emotional development, to set boundaries, to self-soothe, and for internal validation. You're not healing a wound, you're completing your development. And the 5 slides following outline the steps we must take to repattern our brain so that we might become who we are meant to be. Step 1 is understanding why you got stuck in the codependent stage of development. Codependency takes root when love feels conditional. You learn to earn connection through care, compliance, or invisibility. And this first step isn't about blame. It's eyes inward, to think about yourself, about understanding your story with compassion. When you see your origins clearly, shame dissolves and a space opens for growth. Step 2 is all about meeting your codependent persona. Not the enemy, the protector. The one that says, keep the peace, don't upset them. You're only safe if everyone's happy. This step is about recognizing when that voice takes over. And when you know its triggers and fears, you can interrupt it. You can say, thank you, I don't need you right now, and let your authentic self speak instead. Following the first 2 steps, which are about developing self-awareness, you need to start thinking of the future and who you are becoming. And you can't become who you're meant to be without a roadmap. This step is about envisioning your authentic self, what she values, how she speaks, and how she leads in her life. You define what truth, safety, and connection look like, and then start practicing them daily. Each boundary, each choice, each honest conversation rewires your brain in the process of becoming who you are meant to be. During step 4, we meet our resistance, probably the hardest and most powerful step, because development's uncomfortable. You've spent years protecting yourself through codependent behaviors. So when you start doing something new, saying no, expressing your needs, your brain panics. It floods you with anxiety, shame, guilt, or self-doubt. And that's your resistance. It's not failure. It's automatic negative thoughts trying to keep you safe. And each time you act from truth instead of fear, you strengthen new neural pathways. And eventually, acting authentically is easier than people-pleasing ever was. It takes 45 days to create a new neural pathway in the brain. That means real transformation doesn't happen in one breakthrough or one aha moment. It happens through practice, practice, practice. You have to reinforce new behaviors until your brain accepts them as your new normal. That means reflecting daily, tracking your growth, and surrounding yourself with people who support your development, not your codependency. Growth accelerates when you're in a safe environment that reinforces your authentic self. This is one of the reasons I created the Becoming Your Authentic Self group, an 8-week developmental journey beginning in January. During this group, we'll practice new behaviors, rewire old patterns, and strengthen your authentic self, because you can't reparent your brain alone. We do this as we grow in relationship to others. Think about how empowering it is when we stop believing that there's something wrong with us, that we have a secret shame that we have to hide from others. We can do this individually, collectively, in group situations, or in every single moment that we choose authenticity over adaptation. Because we are not healing or recovering. We are completing our development. We indeed are becoming who we are meant to be. If the message of this presentation resonates, if you're tired of feeling anxious, small, or unseen, this is your moment. Join me this January for the Becoming Your Authentic Self group, where we'll put a roadmap for you together. You'll learn to build boundaries, regulate your emotions, and live from your authentic self, not your fears. Your brain will change, your life will change, because you were never broken, you were simply delayed. Now is the time for you to become who you were always meant to be. Not Broken, Just Delayed isn't just another self-help book. It's a roadmap for rewiring your life, a guide to completing the development that got interrupted long ago. For decades, we've been told that codependency is something to get over, break through, or recover from, but that belief is exactly what keeps us stuck. Because codependency was never an illness to heal. It's a stage of development that became delayed. Every time we try and fix ourselves, instead of resuming that development, we strengthen the very patterns that keep us small. This book shows you how that happened, decade by decade, how cultural conditioning, family dynamics, and the disease model of addiction trapped generations in survival instead of growth. And more importantly, it shows you how to get unstuck, how to resume your development, rewire your brain, and finally live from your authentic self. This is your turning point, your chance to move from recovery to development, from surviving to thriving, from fate to destiny. Thank you for being here, truly. And if this message spoke to you, don't let the moment pass. Order Not Broken, Just Delayed on Amazon. Subscribe to my newsletter, The Authentic Edge, at Dranitsaris.com for weekly tools and insight. And follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, where I share real stories and strategies to help you grow in your authentic self.